What is up, guys? This is the 8th shelf of my horror and sci-fi collection. We start off here with the Alien Quadrilogy. This is probably one of the best box sets as far as special features and extras that I've seen, especially for DVD. If I ever upgraded this to 4K or Blu-ray, I'd probably still keep this with all the special features unless I could find a box set with all the special features in it. But it comes with all 4 of the original Alien movies, with their theatrical cuts. Then it also has their special editions and director's cuts, and then loaded with special features, which is why this is such a great set. Here you go, if you want to see what all of the special features are. I mean, it's just loaded for sure with all these. See, nearly 50 hours of all new material and created exclusively for the 9-disc collector's edition. I mean, this is definitely a set worth having if you're a fan of these movies. And if you haven't seen these movies, you should definitely check them out. Then we have Prometheus, which is a prequel to Alien. They didn't let you know that, obviously, until they wanted you to go and see the movie to figure that out. You know, they wanted it to be this kind of mysterious kind of sci-fi movie. You didn't know what was going on until you actually went to see it, which was creative. You know, a lot of people hated on this movie. I thought it was great. Way better than Alien Covenant. So definitely worth checking out if you haven't seen it before. Then we have Alien vs. Predator. Again, this is another movie that people seem to hate on. I actually enjoyed this movie. Very well done. Paul W.S. Anderson did a great job directing this movie. Maybe not the biggest budget. Maybe the budget could have been a little better. But great story, I thought. You know, the alternate ending wasn't meh, you know, but the movie itself was very solid. And then we go from solid to the not so solid. This was horrible. Alien vs. Predator Requiem. You can tell they were setting up at the end of this to make a third one. This one flopped big time in the box office, and it's understandable why. This was not good at all. You know, just no story. They just figured the aliens themselves would carry the movie. And the humans, it's kind of like Freddy versus Jason. Everyone just kind of stood there and watched the carnage and died in the process, which was kind of dumb. So, horrible movie. But I am a completist, so I gotta have it all, you know. And then you've got Jurassic Park, classic movie. You know, dinosaurs, you know, in a park, you know, run amok kind of deal. Great cast, a lot of them younger at the time. Because, you know, you had Samuel L. Jackson in here as well when he was just starting off, B.D. Wong. You know, great movie, love this movie. Then we have The Lost World, Jurassic Park. Another very solid, great movie. I'm a big fan of these Jurassic Park movies. They were done very well. Steven Spielberg's work was amazing in these movies. Definitely classics. Pushed the boundaries for a lot of stuff. Then we got Jurassic Park 3. Maybe not as good as the original 2, but still very solid. It kept the tone. It kept everything. You know, I was a fan of it. I went and saw it in the theaters. I wasn't mad for seeing it. It was shorter than the other ones, but it was still great. Great watch. Then we have Jurassic World. You know, I'll admit, when I first saw that they were remaking these, well, not remaking, but making another trilogy or whatever, I was nervous. Because I was like, oh, it's going to be people who aren't Steven Spielberg making this movie, so it wasn't going to be that good. But with visual effects the way they are now, this was amazing. They took the time to write this movie as well. This is probably actually my favorite Jurassic Park movie. And Chris Pratt did amazing. Chris Pratt was on a roll at this point in time too. Like this, Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, he was just hitting on all cylinders here. So definitely worth checking out if you haven't seen it before. Then we have The Cave. This came out the same year as The Descent, only it was different. It was creatures instead of whatever you want to call them in The Descent. But this was good. It was a fun watch. A lot of good cast, a lot of people you'd recognize. Worth checking out if you haven't seen it before. It's definitely different, which is nice. So, yeah, definitely check this one out. Then we have Equilibrium, which is, I love this movie. You know, this is Christian Bale's best work up until the Batman movies. Taye Diggs did great in this movie as well. You know, it's amazing. You know, instead of kung fu, it's gun fu. And this was kind of the precursor in a way to John Wick as far as violence. I mean, I go back and watch this movie at least once a year. I love it that much. I'm going to have to upgrade this to 4K if they've got it on 4K. Comments down below on what you thought of Equilibrium. Then we have Jet Li in The One. Big Jet Li fan. This movie was a fun watch. You know, fun old school kind of science fiction type of movie. You know, and, you know, great supporting cast as well. I'm a huge Delroy Lindo fan. And, of course, you can't go wrong with Jet Li and Jason Statham in the same movie. I mean, fun watch. Not the best movie in the world, but a fun watch. Then we have Underworld with Kate Beckinsale. Very action-packed movie. Kate Beckinsale does great in the role as Selene in these movies. Great visuals. You know, I'm sure these look amazing in 4K if they've got them in 4K. If not, they should. But I mean, absolutely a fun movie to watch. Then we've got Underworld Evolution. Not as good as the first one. This is probably the weakest in the series in my opinion. But still, you know, visually, it stands out big time. I love the blue tones and just, you know, sharp images for this is probably ridiculous on Blu-ray or 4K. So worth checking out if you haven't seen it before. Then we've got Underworld Rise of the Lycans. This one I was kind of worried about because Kate Beckinsale wasn't in it. And instead they had Rohana Mitra, who did amazing in this movie. And it was a prequel, which also made me nervous. But this one, was out of these first three movies, and maybe even out of the series, it was probably my favorite one. You know, different director as well. But yeah, this is probably my favorite Underworld movie. Then we've got Underworld Awakening. I just watched this recently. It was good. You know, a great supporting cast. Interesting story. It was shorter than the other ones. That's for sure. I can't know if you can really see what the length is on there, but with the glare. But yeah, it was shorter than the other ones. But it was interesting. Great way to try to bring them back. You know, Sony was trying to get their content going because they liked making, you know, the 20 Resident Evil movies as well. So they were going to go the same with Underworld, I guess. Then we have The Happening. You know, good old M. Night Shyamalan. He either hits a home run or he doesn't. A lot of people seem to hate on this movie. I actually enjoyed this movie. It was unique and different. You didn't know what was going on. And, you know, it's hard to stop what you don't know. And I'm a big Mark Wahlberg fan. He had a great supporting cast in this movie as well. So I enjoyed this movie. I'm planning on trying to upgrade this movie if I can find it for cheap out in the wild. Comment below on what you thought of The Happening. Then we have Doom, another movie that people didn't really have a lot of good things to say about. You know, I wouldn't disagree with them, but I wouldn't agree with them either. I didn't think it was the best movie ever. But none of these video game movies usually are. But it was okay. It wasn't like unwatchable or horrible or should have never been made. I do like the director. But all in all, just an average movie, not The Rock's best work. Then we have Final Destination. This is another franchise I love. You know, death just coming after you. You know, again, you can't stop what you can't see. They try to, though, and that's the premise of these movies, which makes them so terrifying. You don't know how death is gonna come for them. So just a fun watch. Then, of course, you got Final Destination 2, which has probably the best big death scene out there as far as how they cheat death. You know, again, just as good as the first one. If not better, actually. This might be one of those series where the first one might actually be overtaken by the next two and then kind of goes back down. And then we have Final Destination 3, which was probably my favorite in the series. But yeah, this is definitely, all of these movies are worth a watch. For sure. I mean, I'm a huge fan of movies like this. But yeah, that will do it for this shelf. If you like content like this, please like and subscribe. Your support is much appreciated. I'm also over on Letterboxd. The links to my profile is over in the channel description. Otherwise, until next time, guys.